Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Lamar and I, to me, had a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Could it have been better? Of course. Lamar and I never had an issue. I don't know where that comes from. John, I never saw Lamar and Coach Harbaugh not have a great relationship. I never saw that. I never saw Coach Harbaugh and any of our players not have a great relationship. Never, not one time. So any of that would be news to me, but I don't know how people feel. Lamar and I, to me, had a...
That was Todd Monken yesterday on the Ryan Ripken show, and it was an interesting conversation. I cannot, this isn't a knock, I just can't pretend that I watched all of it because I was watching football last night. Very good conversation, I'm told, and certainly a good get for that show. I guess there's two things to follow up on. One, as I said yesterday, there's a little bit of me that's kind of past the what happened part. Drew and I were talking about that yesterday. Like, you spend the first 24 hours really obsessed with the what happened, and then, like, it doesn't matter. It's over. Like, it really doesn't matter what happened because none of it's changing. The Ravens are looking for a head coach. John Harbaugh is gone. Todd Monken's going to be gone. It kind of doesn't matter exactly what happened. But the second part of that is, with respect to Todd Monken, and I have no personal animosity towards Todd Monken whatsoever, there is no plausible scenario where he does not know that there was an issue between he and Lamar Jackson, and as I've told you this week, frankly, multiple offensive players on this team. It was not unique to Lamar Jackson. And I don't know that it was all, because I haven't spoken to all of them, or even, I would say, a preponderance of them. But I know, in the short amount of work that I did on it this week, that there were decidedly issues between Todd Monken and multiple offensive players that go beyond, and I think he referenced, like, you know, somebody was mad the plays didn't work. Well, no shit, my wife was mad the plays didn't work. It was not unique to the play calling. And I will tell you, as I said earlier, not that I'm a reporter, because I'm not, but earlier in the year was tipped off to personality issues between Todd Monken and Ravens offensive players. And I was inclined to be dismissive of it because anyone who's covered football for a long time knows uniquely offensive players tend to be about as happy as their production level currently is. So I was a bit more dismissive of it when I was first hearing about it because as I first heard about it, I didn't know who the players were. And I was inclined to say, I bet it's guys that want to get the ball more, right? Like, I bet the guys that are unhappy are just guys that are like, why am I not being used more? Why am I not getting more snaps? Why are you not throwing the ball my way a little bit more frequently? But as things unfolded this week, I come to find out it was not unique to that. And as others have reported, Lamar Jackson certainly isn't the guy that's unhappy he's not getting the ball more. The ball's in his hands on every play. So I think Todd Monken has every right to say, I don't know anything about that, because Todd Monken doesn't want to be put in a position where people look at him and say, is there an issue if we bring in Todd Monken? The way that we're having conversations about Kevin Stefanski, right? Kevin Stefanski, who is a 2-time Coach of the Year in the NFL, who getting the Browns to the playoffs is
near miraculous.
Right. It's almost like getting Indiana to the college football semifinals. But
Oh,
yet,
you think it ends tonight, huh?
I have no idea if it's going to end tonight or not. I don't know.
Not ending tonight.
I would say that we're going to ask the same questions about Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders. I'm asking those questions because I think Kevin Stefanski, the coach, is someone who I'd be very interested in. But I need to know what the story was with Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders, because there's a lot of guys around the NFL who look at what happened there and say, was he trying to sabotage Shedeur Sanders? And probably wouldn't be interested in him being their coach because of it. So if I were the Ravens, I'd need to know everything about what happened there. Every detail about what happened between Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders. Because
I think to a certain extent, Shedeur Sanders' play explained why they were reluctant to use him for as long as they were.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But the story of him going out there with the wrong wristband,
Yeah.
the very awkward ways that he would speak about him in press conferences, while I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a particularly good or a high-level NFL quarterback, what I know is Shedeur Sanders is respected by a lot of athletes for multiple reasons. One, because he was a high-level college quarterback, because he has a brand, because of who his father is. There's many reasons why Shedeur Sanders has relationships with lots of athletes. And if the Baltimore Ravens are about to hire Kevin Stefanski and Lamar Jackson walks in and says, dude, I don't know, I heard some stuff about him with Shedeur Sanders.
Right.
You're not going to start your relationship with your quarterback thinking, I don't know if I can trust that guy. Because I think he might have gone out of his way to sabotage the last quarterback he had. And maybe that's not true at all. But I would need, as the Ravens, to spend a lot of time with Kevin Stefanski and say, dude, what happened there? Because we've got to go explain to our quarterback, who we're trying to negotiate a contract extension with right now, we got to explain to him why we don't think that was a thing. Why that was just internet bull ass. So you got to explain it to us so we can explain it to them. And so when stories are going around this week about Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson, Todd Monken, of course, who is going to want to be a coach, he's interviewing, frankly, for head coach jobs. I don't think there's a chance in hell he's going to get them. But, there's certainly been lesser guys that have gotten head coaching.
See the Raiders or Titans being like,
somebody's interviewing
well,
Arthur.
we're going to fire this coach.
Who did I see was interviewing
anyway?
Arthur Smith
The Titans.
this week? It was the
Titans.
Titans, of course. The Titans are interviewing Arthur Smith. My God, if you're interviewing Arthur Smith, you might as well interview Todd Monken. But yes, if you're one of those teams, you want to know. And so Todd Monken, of course, is going to come out and say, I never had any. We talk about I had issues with Lamar Jackson. But those teams that are talking to Todd Monken are going to have to do the same thing. Figure out, hey, what is that story really? What really went on there? And would it be a problem here if we were to have Todd Monken either as our head coach, which again I'd be surprised by, but who knows, or as our offensive coordinator moving forward? Maybe he ends up going with John Harbaugh wherever John Harbaugh goes.
I disagree with one thing you said about it's unimportant what happened before, because what's the difference? We are where we are. I would really be interested to know whether Eric and Steve ever had dialogue before about whether it was time to move on from John Harbaugh. I think that would be very fascinating. Because, again, you might be right that Mike McDonald would have never accepted a coach-in-waiting thing for 2 years.
Well,
I
would say it's twofold. One,
But
Mike
but
McDonald definitely would not have done that.
Okay,
and
but
John
I'd be-
Harbaugh wouldn't have gone for it either.
that's
But-
probably more likely in my opinion.
Because
But-
I know Mike McDonald, who his agent is. There was
Okay.
no chance in hell
Okay,
that Mike
but
McDonald
the
would have
larger
considered it.
point is, for an organization, again, that twice in its history has allowed someone to come in that was not, they weren't really ready to move on from. In the case of Bisciotti, had a deal in place that he would wait 2 years or 3 years to take over the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eric DaCosta, for them to not have even talked about that I think would be
Well,
almost like malpractice.
I mean, I think they might have talked about it, but there was never going to go anywhere. Jimmy Sexton is one of the most powerful agents in all of football.
Right.
He is never going to allow one of his clients
Right.
to limit himself and to say, we're going to run the risk that something goes wrong in the next 2 years and the team wins 3 games, and now they're not going to elevate you to be the head
Right.
coach. Jimmy Sexton is the most powerful person arguably in football because of who his clients
Okay,
are.
but the
Like-
larger issue is, do you think they ever discussed moving on from John in order to keep Mike McDonald here?
I think they believe they can find their Mike McDonald.
Okay.
And with respect, and I'm not trying to, whenever I have this conversation, I think Mike McDonald's a wonderful coach.
Yeah.
But the way we talk about him, is he Vince Lombardi? Is he the greatest coach that ever existed? Because my belief is they can find him.
No,
Mike
but but John Harbaugh wasn't Vince Lombardi
No,
either.
but he was coming off a trip to the AFC Championship game. Like, we're talking about it like it was easy to say, well, you just have to fire him because this guy's definitely the guy. It's insane the way we talk about it.
Okay.
Like, it might have been the best way in hindsight. It might have worked out. Or it might have been the same thing that we said about Rex Ryan when Rex Ryan got off to a good
Is
start.
it possible that I was right 5 years ago that it was time to move on from John Harbaugh?
Maybe.
Okay.
Or maybe the Ravens would have sucked for the last 5 years.
Maybe they would have.
Like, I don't know. I don't know at all. I know that in the end, this was the time. And so what ultimately happened, whether it was because of these personality issues with Todd Monken, whether it's because they got their ass kicked at home in 3 straight games, the season at stake, whatever it was, that's the reason why John Harbaugh's not the coach anymore.
Yeah.
And probably a combination of those things. But that's where we are. Like, revisiting and going back and what happened.
Can you compare it to, like, the Orioles had to fire Brandon Hyde? Like, you're just trying to spark these these players know obviously they can't be performing this poorly, but also like you're trying to get their attention somehow, right? Like, that's,
football's very
Yeah.
different.
I agree. I mean, yeah, I understand
Football's
that,
very
but
different. You're not going to hire a new head coach in the middle of a 1-5 season,
right?
When you're as good as the Ravens. should
No,
have
that
been.
said, I absolutely think they should have fired Zach Orr then. Like, I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
agree with you
I
there.
think that if we're talking about mistakes John Harbaugh made, 1,000%, he needed to fire Zach Orr at the bye. He needed to say, we can't let this be what dooms us.
Yeah.
Now, to the same point, as I just said, would that have worked? No idea. It might very well be that they would have put somebody else in charge of the defense, and the defense still would
I
have
think
been.
his larger problem was hiring Zach Orr to begin with.
There's probably something to be said for that, right? Like, there's absolutely, in hindsight, that Denard
have
Wilson.
no problem having him there as a linebackers coach, learning a little bit more. But to compare him to sort of Kansas City with Steve Spagnuolo
Right.
and other defensive coordinators that are
Brian
real Jimmy
Flores,
Schwartz,
yeah, all these
Brian
guys.
Flores, and you're doing amateur hour and having to bring in
Yeah.
DPs out of retirement to prop him up.
And to be fair, he would say, well, the last guy we hired was a first-time defensive coordinator. And again, we're talking about him like he's one of the greatest coaches in football. Like, I don't think we could have known in that moment how bad it was going to go with Zach Orr.
Yeah.
And there's definitely still something to be said for.
And
there were-
to
there were-
their
there were
credit,
personnel-
they brought in Chuck Pagano.
yeah. Mhm.
I got that name right this time.
We'll get there.
But they
We'll get
brought
there.
him in thinking he would be able to do what sort of Dean Pease did, help Zach.
Probably feeling that way. Although I don't think the relationship between Zach Orr and Chuck Pagano was as close as
No, it wasn't.
the
You're right.
relationship.
You're
Dean Pease was Zach Orr's mentor, and there
Yeah.
clearly seemed to be a trust level between the two of them.
Yeah.
I talk to you. I speak the same language. I have an appreciation for you because of what you did for me as a player.
Yeah.
That seemed to be very valuable. But for what it's worth, maybe that means that Dean Pease needed to be the defensive coordinator.
Right.
Like,
Right.
maybe that's
Right.
the
Maybe
way that
that
it
was
needed
the-
to go
Yeah.
in order for it to work. And I'm not, like, we could do all of this and we could have all these conversations. In the end, the Ravens need a coach. Like, that's the reality. They need a coach. And to the point, it will be interesting to me because if they think that their miss was Mike McDonald, then to me, Jesse Minter is the guy. Like, that's if you're looking for Mike McDonald, Jesse Minter's Mike McDonald. That's the guy. He's the young, guy that came through the Michigan system, that worked with you in Baltimore.
Did
That
they
had
work
success.
together, Minter and McDonald? Were they on the same staff
I don't know
at
if they
Michigan?
were ever or in Baltimore. Did Minter and McDonald cross paths in either place?
Not in Baltimore.
So Minter was 18 to what were his years in Baltimore? He was in Baltimore 17 to 20.
Oh, for Minter.
For Minter. Was in Baltimore
Okay.
17 to 20 and then was DC at Michigan 22 and 23. So obviously he wasn't with Mike McDonald
Okay.
at Michigan.
And
Mike
his background is as a DC.
Yes, he's
now.
the Chargers
Okay.
DC, correct. And Mike McDonald, who's a couple years
McDonald
younger.
was in Baltimore 2018 to
Yeah, so
2020,
they were
yeah.
together
in
in
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Right.
Before Mike McDonald left to be the DC at Michigan, and then he was back in Baltimore when essentially Jesse Minter just followed him. Jesse Minter has kind of been, all right, we didn't. That Jesse Minter is Mike McDonald Redux. If
Right.
that's what you're looking, if you're specifically looking for, we think we failed by not hiring Mike McDonald, then Jesse Minter, who ironically is not one of the first 9 names, I got to assume they're going to interview Jesse Minter. I've got to assume that they're going to have that conversation unless there's I cannot imagine them not interviewing Jesse Minter, but they're up to 9 and he's not
Well,
one
what
of the
he
names.
did to Justin Herbert, I
Yeah,
mean,
clearly
it's
it's
terrible.
you think the offensive line is his fault? He's the reason. They're officially up to 9 as Joe Brady joins the list this morning. But so far, that's
Joe Brady
I
is
think
the
he's
guy.
missing-
this was
he's
without
Is
missing
he
Joe Brady.
another
This was like
New
from 8 a.m.
England assistant?
He's the Buffalo. He's the Bills
Oh,
offensive
okay.
coordinator. Had been at LSU. Jamison Hensley with the list of everybody up until the news broke of Joe Brady this morning, but 2 that have completed their interviews. So for those that have asked about that, only Seahawks and Broncos assistants can do interviews this week. It's just a bizarre part of the way they build the playoff schedule that the 1 seed, their assistants can do interviews. Everybody else can't do even Zoom interviews until next week if their teams are playing. If their teams are playing, they can't do formal interviews, in-person interviews, until the following week. Now, some of these, their teams are going to lose, or some of them, as you see already, their teams aren't even in the playoffs in the case of Matt Nagy and Brian Flores. And so they could have been brought in at any point. I think when you see yesterday that the Ravens are holding their Steve Bisciotti, Eric DaCosta press conference next Tuesday, what they're telling you is buckle in. Because if they thought they were hiring a coach next week, they would probably say, we're going to wait and do this all together. But the fact that they're doing it, they scheduled it for a week out, suggests that they know it's going to be a couple of weeks before we're introducing a head coach in Baltimore. So we'll do this now. The 2 of them will speak, and they'll speak more about how we got here,
Right.
why the decision was made about John Harbaugh, and they will probably not answer a lot of questions about these candidates. They will probably defer to, we're going through the process, we're casting a wide net, we're interviewing lots of people.
Interesting mix, and a lot of the candidates have head coaching experience.
It is a mix of to your point, so of the 9 known candidates, Nagy, Joseph, Flores, Kingsbury, and Saleh, 5 of the 9 have head coaching experience. Again, interesting that 2 that we would assume that will be a part of the process but aren't are Jesse Minter, who doesn't, and Kevin Stefanski, who does. Right? So and I'm still working under the assumption that those 2 are going to join the list. Maybe they never do. Maybe for whatever reason, the Ravens say, we're not interested in those guys.
Jim, well, I guess there's no relation with the Harbaughs anyway, so it doesn't matter. Well, cause just Jim Harbaugh was being effusive about Jesse Minter in this week, and
well, again, I think the Jesse Minter connection.
But
he
was just lying. So that
to me, it's Joe Ortiz, right? Like Joe Ortiz is the reason why I think Jesse Minter would be. It's less to do with Jim and John Harbaugh. It's way more to do with the guy that's been here and is very friendly with Eric DaCosta is likely to turn around and sing his praises too. Also, Jesse Minter was in Baltimore. Like they all saw him.
Maybe Ortiz will get a light bulb off and say, you know what? This is the time to get rid of Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, you think he's going to run out Harbaugh in order to have? We're not going to.
We
We're not going to do what happened in Baltimore.
Jim
We're running
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh out in order to get our Mike McDonald.
Yeah.
Maybe you're onto something, Stan. Maybe there's something to be said for it.
Very few people think the way I think.
Stan?
Very few.
Well, hang on a second. I'm trying to think about things that we've disagreed. What have we disagreed most about over the years?
Everything.
Harbaugh.
I don't know. Yeah, but even when I disagree with you about Harbaugh, I only disagreed about. It's not even that I've tried to. People accuse me of being a Harbaugh defender. I defended winning. That's what I defended. I didn't even think that like John Harbaugh was a game changer. I just defended winning. That's it.
Yeah, but wherever he goes, they're gonna be a playoff team next year.
Probably, because he's not going to go somewhere that stinks. It's why even when Drew keeps trying to bang the drum on Cleveland.
I don't know. You don't think
I
he get
don't.
Cleveland to the
On
playoffs?
Cleveland, what?
They need a quarterback, but
Oh God, he's
find
never
a way
going
to-
You say,
Cleveland.
I understand the reasoning. John is an insanely competitive human being.
Oh, you mean he'd like
Wants
to
to
come
be
back
shoving
and
it.
Idea
beat?
of being able
So
to
then we
face
have
the
to hire
Ravens
Stefanski if that's the case, right?
twice. And so you have or Tomlin. But I understand
After
that.
after
and
working for Steve Bisciotti, you really think he would work for
it's-
Jim
well,
Haslam?
and I think again this also goes to age because I do think that there's
Although Jim Haslam's press release, his quotes were exactly the same about firing Stefanski that
as
Bisciotti
Steve
had.
Bisciotti
you
said
know,
about.
it was one of the most difficult decisions.
So I would add in that because John was born in Ohio and went to Miami, Ohio, and
And
all
the
of
Tom
those,
Maddie thing.
there's
the
right,
Tom
there's
Maddie
the Tom
David.
Maddie. There you go. All of those things to me mean it's not zero. It's not a zero for me with the Browns. But the point there being, I do think the people around John Harbaugh will say, even if he feels that way,
Right.
and people around John Harbaugh have said, like, I think John could. I still think that his agent, I absolutely think Brian Harlan will say,
Are
John,
you nuts? Yeah.
John. Like, if you get offered more money in Cleveland, I'm going to tell you to go somewhere else.
Right.
I'm
That-
gonna.
I would say it's a zero that he goes to Cleveland.
I can't say it's a zero, but
I'm going to say it's a
I'm.
zero.
I. No matter how many people bang the drum, I think it's minimal. Now,
I think he's
do-
going to be offered a fortune to go to Miami.
I absolutely think he'll be offered a fortune to go to Miami. I think that he will need to know more about their plan at quarterback, and without knowing their plan at quarterback, or that for sure it's going to work, I still think that's very difficult for him. I think John absolutely would be wise to figure out if one of these teams that's playing this weekend is going to be in need of a head coach come next Monday. If somehow the Packers lose, I mean, somehow, I think a lot of people think the Packers are going to lose to the Bears. If the Packers lose to the Bears and they decide it's time with Matt LaFleur, I don't know that there's a more desirable job in the NFL than being the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. You have no owner. You have no one to interlope. It doesn't exist. It is a religion. It is a heaven, Lambeau Field. It is a place that people dream of if you care about football, and you have a quarterback. And presumably you get Micah Parsons back next year. And before Micah Parsons got hurt, a lot of us thought they might be the Super Bowl favorites. So I think if I'm John Harbaugh, I need to know if there's any chance that the Packers are thinking about moving on from Matt LaFleur. Because if they are, I'm walking to Green Bay for that
Or
job.
the Bills.
The Bills
Yeah.
absolutely would be in that. If they're thinking at all, if they were to lose the Jaguars and they think about moving on from Sean McDermott, they got a new stadium coming in. They got Josh Allen.
Or if Seattle loses in the playoffs
I'd
and
be
they
a
want to
little
get.
surprised if they chose a little, if that was the decision that they made. But anyway,
What do
I
we
guess-
got on the show today?
Chris Broussard from Fox Sports is going to join us in a few minutes. We're going to talk to him. Obviously, he has been a Ravens fan now for years. So we'll talk to him about his thoughts on the end of the John Harbaugh era and what might be next. His thoughts on the candidates. And yeah, coming up a little bit later on, we do it every year. Our friend Dave Ginsburg is going to join us
Oh,
and will
not that again.
unveil his Baseball Hall of Fame
Not that again.
ballot.
Stan's supposed to be our only baseball guy.
Will Dave Ginsburg give Nick Markakis his first Hall of Fame vote publicly this year?
If he's got a hair on his ass.
It is a
Why did he do it privately last year?
no. This is Nick's
This
first year
is
on the
Nick.
ballot. But what I'm saying is publicly known ballots. Nick currently has 0 votes.
Well, they don't know what the
currently.
they don't know what the f they're talking about. Those guys.
That's a great point.
I don't know.
Hunter Pence has a vote.
That's
Shin-Soo
ridiculous.
Chu has a vote. Edwin Encarn
Has 2 votes.
Hang on a second, as our friend Gary Thorne would say, Edwin Encarnacion.
The
pronounced
highlight
that
of
right.
Hunter
It's
Pence.
2 votes.
Are we
The
going to lose
highlight
Kevin
of
Brown?
Hunter Pence's career was when I was driving with Jane, and we were talking to her late Uncle Bernie, who lived in Philadelphia, and he and I were talking about Hunter Pence, and Jane goes, Who is this underpants?
That's a great question. She asked the questions that matter.
If Sin Shu Chu gets a vote, then Nick Markakis should get a vote.
I don't inherently disagree that there's
Yeah.
what's the real separation between Shin Soo Choo
Nothing.
and
I
Nick
mean-
Markakis, but I also don't know
How
that
many
Shin
hits
Soo
did,
Choo deserved a vote, so I'm not really worked up.
How many hits
The
does-
others that currently have 0 votes are Gio Gonzalez, stunning, does not have a vote. Alex Gordon, no votes. Matt Kemp, no votes. Howie Kendrick with 0.
See, I could hear an argument for
Daniel
Kendrick.
Murphy and Rick
Just for that
Porcello.
2019 World Series run, I
Right.
could hear a vote. I could hear an argument
There you go.
for.
So
And then
Mike
and then Daniel
Mike
Murphy for
Farron-
2015.
Mike Farron and Jim Duquette had Ned Yost on to talk about Alex's candidacy this year, yesterday.
Alex Gordon?
Yeah. Farron loves to do those deep
baseball.
dives into things that aren't going to happen.
All right.
Winter baseball talk.
Um,
Markakis had over 700, almost 700 more hits than Shin Soo
Is
Choo.
You're really trying to. Griffin's trying to start some
is
controversy.
Chu
Abreu getting any
had
votes at all?
one
Not
war
enough that he's
more.
gonna have a chance of getting in.
I think he's an interesting candidate.
No, I know
I
you've
know.
been a Bobby
Yeah.
Abreu guy,
Well,
but he's
Abreu,
only
yeah.
at
You're-
public ballots.
You're
80%.
slowly talking me into it.
No, he's
Stan.
sitting at 38, but
38.
that number always goes down.
And it's a down
at the end
year,
of
but
the-
it's a down year for like the ballot overall.
yes.
I
There's
feel
also
like.
no first-year candidates that are going to get in.
Like I'm
and,
talking myself into Utley.
Is
as well.
Beltran a second year?
Beltran's in his 4th year.
Fourth
Beltran
year.
leads voting at the moment at 88.6%.
So
of
he
public
will
ballots.
most likely get in.
Now he's one that's going to definitely have less on the ones that aren't
On
made
those
public,
cowards,
or
yeah.
people that are still going to say nope, he
Yeah.
was involved. I'm never going to vote for
Yeah.
him. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's a number we'll have to watch. And then Andrew Jones, who's currently sitting at 83.2% on his 9th, next to last ballot. That's a number that will go down as well. Currently, we only know 35% of ballots. So it's still a fairly low number.
He's one that I could never vote for.
Who,
As
Andrew
great as he
Jones?
was defensively,
Markakis had
I
over 1,000
can't
RBIs.
vote somebody into the
Shin
Hall
Soo
of
Choo had
Fame.
700.
I get the home runs, but the batting averages were just, that's not a Hall of Famer to me. I'm sorry.
Trying to think of pull up lowest batting averages of a Hall of Famers. Pull that up. And Andrew Jones did play a little bit longer in his career, and so sometimes you give guys a little bit of grace for
Mhm.
how it ended at the end. He finishes a 254 career hitter,
Right.
823 career
But
OPS.
look at like the last 8 years or so. Didn't he hit like 215?
Oh yeah, I mean after 2006, from 96 to 2006, Andrew Jones was unquestionably one of the best all-around players in baseball.
Here's my
Right.
problem: they're including Baseball Reference has every single Hall of Famer listed, but they're including pitchers with the.
Yeah, that's
Okay, well, I mean, try to get through that if you can and find actual baseball players and what the lowest batting.
Harmon
average is.
Killebrew hit 256 in his career.
Harmon Killebrew was a 256 career hitter. That's interesting. I was not aware of that.
Yeah,
Anything else?
that looks like that's from non-pitchers. That looks like the lowest one I can.
Louis Aparicio was a 262 hit career hitter.
Reggie Jackson finished with a 262 batting average. Yeah. Reggie Jackson was a 262. Gary Carter 262.
Johnny Bench was 267.
Mike Schmidt 267.
Yeah.
Brooks
Mike
267.
Schmidt was only a 267 hitter.
Brooks was 267 as well.
That doesn't. I mean, but again,
Johnny
some of the-
Bench 268.
we're talking about some of those players we named are obviously in part because of their defense, but that's also the argument for Andrew Jones,
Andrew
is that
Jones,
his
yeah.
defense was so
well,
overwhelming.
and he hit how many home runs? 400 and
Yeah, he hit
Ozzie Smith 262.
434.
434.
434. But yeah, Ozzie Smith, Mike Schmidt, Brooks Robinson,
Dick Williams
Louis
260.
I think he's heading to. I think he's got a.
I don't
decent
know that he's going to
chance
get in this year, but I think that his vote total is high enough that there will
Yeah.
be people that on his 10th, if he doesn't,
Yeah.
then people that are on his 10th and final ballot will choose to vote for him
Right.
next year. But yeah, we'll do that with Dave Ginsburg a little bit later on. We come
Chris
back.
Davis eligible next year. Next year.
Is it next year for Chris Davis? I feel like it might even still be. He was still here?
2019 Was his last? Was it 2020? No, yeah, he was here in
He was still
2020.
He was still here in 2021, right? Because he was definitely.
Yes, yeah, you're right, because that was when he went 0 for 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was definitely here in 21.
So
So would it be next year?
Actually, he did not play a game in 2021.
What? What year did he? But what year did he start?
It was
0
on
for
the injured
40?
list.
So he's eligible
He never
next
played.
year.
So his last game was going to be in 2020. He was on the team in 2021. He just did not play.
Oh, 2019 was when he went over.
It's based on when you last played, not when you were last on under contract.
What about when you last tried to fight your manager?
Right. I don't think that's the date they set it by. So yes, Chris Davis will be next year. Don't think he's going to generate a lot of interest, Stan, but he would be eligible.
Well, but he does have the thing where he pitched.
That is true too.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't have that.
Player.
When we come back in, Chris Broussard, Fox Sports, get his thoughts on the Ravens moving on from John Harbaugh and what might be next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack. Costas is your place to go. Check out the website, costasinn.com, for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Get in the game with Volo Sports. With over 15 sports to choose from, join a league or grab a Volo membership for discounted play, free daily pickups, fitness classes, and exclusive events. But the best part? A portion of every league fee helps the Volo Kids Foundation provide free sports to over 5,000 kids across Baltimore City each year. Don't miss out. Early pricing for the winter season ends December 12th. Final registration deadline is January 15th. Sign up now at volosports.com/Baltimore.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now, and it's our annual Best of issue, celebrating the top people, performances, and moments of 2025 in local sports. On the cover, we recognize 4 of the most significant athletes of the year: Orioles pitcher Trevor Rogers, Navy quarterback Blake Horvath, Maryland basketball star Derek Queen, and our 2025 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton. Pressbox is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
This January, go for the gold at Live Casino and enter to win the ultimate winter experience. Earn the entire month of January, and on Saturday, January 24th, you could be one of 25 lucky winners to take their place on the podium and win a share of $50,000 in prizes, including a trip to the 2026 Winter Games in Milano Cortina. Let the games begin at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
What am I looking at? What am I? I see it. It's a good-looking bird.
I think they're most fascinating.
Shoebill storks.
And they do this. If you get the video, they do this.
All right, there you go.
It's a really.
There you go. Do it again. It stands.
It's almost like the whip snakes.
Stands new. Oh, that is.
Oh, there's right around the corner. Well,
the championship season is coming up, but not involved, unfortunately. The charm will be, I think. I think they'll be involved, but not the whip snakes. Do we do that for the charm?
Basically.
I'm not. Okay, fair enough. Today's show brought to you by County Sports Zone, countysports.zone, proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Everything you need to know about high school sports, all of the big out-of-state basketball tournaments and the Governor's Challenge and everything that was going on over the course of the last couple of weeks. They will get you informed of what's been happening, who you should know about, countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. We continue along here on a Friday edition of GCR. Chief Grand Poobah, Stan the Fan Charles, is in studio with us. The Ravens need a head coach. They need a replacement for John Harbaugh. They have 9 known candidates, and that number is likely to grow. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about the Ravens. He, of course, has been an adopted Ravens fan in recent years. He is a man you see every day on Fox Sports 1. He is Mr. Chris Broussard, and he is back with us now here on GCR. Chris, it's Glenn. Stan Charles is in studio with me today. Always appreciate you taking the time for us.
Hey, fellas, how are you? It's good to be on. Sad season, but good to be on with you guys.
Sad season, to say the least, Chris. I assume, and I don't have any animosity whatsoever towards John Harbaugh. In fact, I'm greatly appreciative of the work that John Harbaugh did in Baltimore. But I think we all kind of had the feeling of it's time. You know, some people, Stan certainly felt it had been time for the last couple of years, but I don't think there's any debate about whether or not it was time to me for the Ravens to make this move and say we need to figure this out, how we're going to get over the hump.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I've been saying actually for the past few years that, you know, he needs to be on the hot seat if they can't get over the hump. I was actually surprised by some in the media. It felt like a lot of people in the media to me who were surprised. Who were a bit stunned and couldn't believe that the Ravens got rid of Harbaugh after 18 seasons. And to me, the 18 seasons is a big part of this. Like, the voice, it was just stale. And it happens to the best of them. Obviously, Harbaugh's a good coach. He's going to get another job this coaching cycle if he wants it. But after 18 years, it was time for a change, considering the disappointing and underachieving ways in which this team performed over the last 3 years, to be sure. But Andy Reid got fired. We know he's an all-time great coach, but it was too long. It was time to go in Philadelphia. Bill Belichick essentially got fired in New England. They decided to part ways with him. We know how great he was. So, long-time coaches, there comes a point where it's time for a new voice, and it was definitely time, because if they had brought Harbaugh back, not only what was going to change, right? Number one, what was going to be different? That's a serious question. Like, I don't know that anything would have been different to make you really confident that this is the year they're going to win the Super Bowl. And two, I think there would have been a kind of a malaise or a dark cloud over the team just because of the way things had gone so badly in the past few years. And so I just think they had to do it, and it was a smart move. And there are reports that Harbaugh even felt like it was the best move. I don't know if that's true or not, but there were reports that he felt it was the best thing for him and Lamar and the franchise.
Chris, I just wanted to ask you whether you think that the general manager had any say in this, because my take on this has been the dysfunction of the organization. Look, they're a good organization, but I think part of what has kept them from being a great organization is the coaches, the owner's personal affection for John Harbaugh superseded the GM's ability to even go in and discuss this idea.
Yeah, I mean, well, Harbaugh answered to the owner.
Yeah.
So that right there tells you he, at the very least, was equal to the GM, if not above the GM. So, yeah, I doubt that this was a GM call. I mean, he probably had his input, and Biscotti listened to him, but I think this was an ownership call. I actually think, too, and we all saw the reports about how Harbaugh lost the locker room, and maybe obviously Lamar's the most prominent player, but it sounds like from the reporting it was a lot of players. And I think that conversations with their players really drove the point home that, hey, we just need a new start, a fresh start, and that's why they did it.
He is Chris Broussard. First things first on Fox Sports 1. He's with us here on GCR. Chris, what direction do you want to see the Ravens go? And I look, I'm very interested in, I think right now they're casting a very wide net. There's lots of different profiles, the 9 candidates they have. I think that's a good thing, but I can't lie. I still ultimately think that when you're hiring a head coach, I prefer it to be someone with an offensive mind because I'm always terrified that you get a good offensive coordinator, they get run out 2 years later, and you've got problems again. But where are you and what you think they should be looking for in a head coach?
Well, how about this? If I like, and I don't know that this combination could even come together, but I like Brian Flores as a head coach.
Mike McDaniel?
And Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator. And the thing with McDaniel, everybody knows he's a tremendous offensive mind. I mean, you saw what he did with Tua and with Devon Achane. Like, to think what he might be able to do with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, I mean, my goodness. And McDaniel, it didn't really go that badly in Miami, but because he was just fired, I don't know that if next year things go great, maybe McDaniel's back on the head coaching market, or maybe it takes 2 or 3 years, you know what I mean, for him to kind of get his reputation back or the possibility that he could be a really good head coach. So I love that idea. And if I'm Mike McDaniel and if the Ravens actually come calling for an OC job, I mean, obviously it's the best one out there.
Right. Yeah.
You know, who are you? I mean, I can't imagine what his mind is thinking if he had weapons like Lamar and Derrick Henry. But I also, Robert Saleh, and we know he's a guy that they're talking to, he also, as a defensive coach, he's worked with McDaniel, remember, in San Francisco. And so I would imagine they have a solid relationship. So maybe that's a partnership that might work as well. I think either Flores or Saleh would – I mean, the defense obviously was pretty good, you know, the second 2/3 of the season this year. But I think they would even make it stronger and really bring back that Ravens defensive, you know, image and culture. And then McDaniel would just take Lamar and Henry and Zay Flowers, I think, maybe to new heights. I mean, look, last year the offense was tremendous anyway. But still, I think that – I like that, some type of combination, Flores, McDaniel, Saleh McDaniel is what I like.
It's interesting, Chris, because both of those guys that you bring up obviously have previous head coaching experience, and that's been something I was chatting with Mike Golick about it the other day. Like, and he said you got to have somebody when you're trying to win a Super Bowl right now. Next year, you don't entrust it. It's been an eternity since we've seen a first-time head coach win a Super Bowl in their rookie season. Yeah. Is that something that you think matters? That it is someone that has previous head coaching experience because you're trying to win literally next year?
Absolutely, because you're right. This is not obviously it's not a rebuild, but it's not even a reset. This is whoever comes in, we expect to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. And I'm not saying anything but that, like if they got there or if they lost the AFC Championship, you know, I'm not saying that couldn't be a decent season, but this is Super Bowl or bust, period. And so, like, a hot name out there, understandably, is Curt Cignetti from Indiana, who obviously tremendous in the college game.
Maybe one of the greatest coaching jobs in the history of the sport.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think absolutely. No question. But
better than Ron Vander Linden at Maryland.
I would be hesitant about bringing him in just because I don't know how he would translate to the NFL game with the players and things like that. So I totally agree that you need somebody who's been there, done that. They won't be surprised by anything that comes their way now that they've, you know, done. Look, Bill Belichick failed in Cleveland.
No question.
He made the playoffs 1 year out of 5 seasons. He gets in the right situation in New England, and the rest is history. So a Saleh, a Flores, sometimes it takes that first, you know, time. Pete Carroll was not very successful until he went to Seattle and got Russell Wilson and company. So sometimes you need a time or two to get your feet, you know, underneath you as a head coach. And so I think that that absolutely should be a requirement for this job.
Chris, Brian Flores is one of my top candidates for this job.
Yep.
What about his lawsuit against the Dolphins and the other NFL teams? Where does that hurt his candidacy?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously a few years ago, you certainly would have felt that way.
Yeah.
But it seems like, I mean, he certainly kind of built his image and everything in Minnesota with the great defensive job he did there. And then the fact that, I mean, he's on the list of guys the Ravens are going to talk to. The fact that his name is back in that head coaching, cycle, so to speak, I think shows that he's kind of moved beyond that, at least in terms of the owner's eyes. Now, it obviously is something, right, because it's still there and everything, but I feel like he's really moved past that, and that's not going to hold him back from getting a job. Perhaps it will with one owner or two or, different owners, but I think some owners will look past it and just want to hire him because he's a great football coach.
Chris, I want to run, because you bring up Bill Belichick's, failing in Cleveland. Kevin Stefanski didn't necessarily fail in Cleveland. We were joking earlier. You bring up Curt Cignetti. Getting to the playoffs twice in Cleveland is arguably as amazing as what Curt Cignetti has done in Indiana, right? That said, I still would want to know more about exactly what happened with Shedeur Sanders this year. And I think the players, I think Lamar Jackson and, his buddy Tyler Huntley and the guys on the offensive players in Baltimore would want to know more about that situation. I get that the record was no good and it was a disaster in Cleveland overall, but I can't be dismissive of the job that Kevin Stefanski did overall, given that, again, we're talking about the friggin' Cleveland Browns.
No, I agree. I think he's a good coach. I mean, I don't have a problem with them moving on because I do think you're right. I think it was a lot related to Shedeur and the way he handled him. My take on it, just from, the outside looking in, is that the ownership forced Stefanski and Andrew Berry to draft Shedeur. I mean, they had drafted another quarterback 2 rounds earlier. So I doubt they would have done it themselves. I feel like the owner pushed it, and Stefanski was resentful. And the way he handled Shedeur was because of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take. That could be right or wrong, but that's how I read the situation. And I think the owner is looking at it after what's transpired and saying, Shedeur showed enough to deserve a shot, right? I don't know if he's going to be a franchise quarterback or not, but he played well enough and showed enough potential to say he should go into camp next year with a chance to battle for the starting job. And if they keep the quarterbacks they have, he should be named the starter. I think the owner looks at it like, I could have known more about Shedeur had you played him earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Once you were done with Flacco, you should have went to Shedeur, and I would have had 11, 12 games, whatever it was, to really evaluate him and see what he's about. And now I think he's like, now we're going to have to do that next year. That's going to be a reset year to see what this quarterback can do. But as far as Stefanski with the Ravens, look, he would be on my list because I do think he's a very good coach. My only question about Stefanski, because he is an offensive guy, is that he hasn't had, at least in Cleveland, and I get it, it's Cleveland, but he hasn't had that great success with the quarterbacks. Now, maybe some will say Flacco for, 4 or 5 games. Okay, but and you can also say he hasn't had the really good quarterbacks, and that may be true as well. But I look at a Deshaun Watson, obviously who was great in Houston, and maybe Deshaun just can't play anymore. But whatever the case, he could not Watson. And I know it's not 100% fair to hold that against Stefanski, but I'm just saying I want somebody that I know is going to work great with my quarterback. And I just have a question mark about Stefanski with that, being that he's an offensive guy. Now, if he was a defensive guy,
right,
then I wouldn't worry about it. You get a coordinator. But because he's an offensive guy, I just have some questions. I'm not saying it'd be a bad hire, but that's a red flag for me when I look at a team that's got to win right away.
You know, it's interesting you mention that because that was sort of Billick's resume. He
was
an
an
offensive guy, and he never had great offensive success.
They couldn't do anything offensively. Yeah. That's a
very
fair point.
Right.
Chris, last for you, you know, I saw that I was watching as you were talking about where John Harbaugh ends up, and I think it's interesting. I think John is absolutely waiting to find out if, like, Green Bay becomes available or Buffalo becomes available, and, you know, that's a place that you would want to be immediately. But it was really interesting what you said about why you think that if you were one of those two teams, maybe John Harbaugh wouldn't be the guy for you.
Yeah, and first, I don't think Green Bay should be open. I think Matt LaFleur is a very good coach. If they get rid of him, I think that'd be a mistake. But obviously, Buffalo could be out there as well. And then even I doubt Pittsburgh, but you know that would be strange. But maybe that'd be open too.
Boy, it'd be really good for sports radio. I know that much. It'd be really
right. How about a coach in switcheroo? I mean, Tomlin with the Ravens and Harbaugh with the Steelers, right? But if I'm one of those teams that's close, like Sean McDermott's a good coach. As I said, Matt LaFleur is a good coach. Mike Tomlin is a good coach. They would be getting fired because they can't get the team over the hump now. Now, they did, Tomlin did in the past, as Harbaugh did in the past. But recently, they haven't been able to get the team over the hump. So that was Harbaugh's problem with Baltimore, at least, recently. And so why would I think, if I'm Buffalo, that he's going to get my team over the hump when he didn't do it with the Ravens? And as great as Josh Allen is, I mean, Lamar Jackson's right there with him. And James Cook and Derrick Henry, I would personally take Derrick Henry. Maybe with the age, you might take Cook. But they're even too. And I think overall, you would probably say the Ravens have more talent than Buffalo. Certainly than Pittsburgh, and probably more than Green Bay as well. And so that would be my concern. Like I said, I do think Harbaugh is a very good coach, but I would look more, if I was another team, I would look more at him as a guy that can come to my franchise, bring us stability, change our culture, and build us into a top team and eventually a perennial contender. And so Atlanta, Miami, those are the types of teams, New York Giants, that I think if I was an owner, I would look at Harbaugh for it. I'm not saying I wouldn't interview him if I'm an established team, but I think in the end that would be in the back of my mind. Like, is he the guy to get them over the hump when he didn't do it with more talent in Baltimore?
Chris, what's coming up on First Things First?
Man, well, first we got to talk about that great classic last night between Ole Miss and Miami, right?
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. Instant classic. And of course, we'll get into these playoffs and some of our picks and some of the storylines. Like, I mean, Josh Allen, this is his year. It would have been the same thing for Lamar if he were in Allen's shoes, right? Like, if Josh, Patrick, and Burrow were in the playoffs, Lamar would have to win. And that's how it is for Josh Allen. So it's going to be a lot to talk about in a great weekend in the NFL.
It's coming up on Fox Sports 1. Of course, Chris_Broussard is how you follow him. Chris, always appreciate you, brother. I have no doubt we'll be talking again after the Ravens make their hire. Thank you for taking the time for us, dude.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Dan.
Appreciate you, man. It's Chris Broussard, FS1, with us here on GCR.
I think he liked me.
I don't think. I mean, it was a feeling out process. I don't think this is going to be a Tirico. I don't think that's the case. I don't think he's going to say, "Hey, Glenn,
I was amazed.
No Fridays anymore." Well, Chris is a pro. Chris has done this for a long time. Chris is. He knows.
Some people would say I'm a pro. I wouldn't have remembered his name.
Well, you don't. To be fair, Stay, you're at the point of your life where it's really you. And in fact, at one point, you did forget his name as you were trying to reset. but we forgive you for that because it's
a point of life.
It happens. It happens. We forgive you for that.
What's your name?
Jeff. Anyway, so he says,
"Is that Glenn?"
No, you don't need to. Don't trust me. Don't bother.
Okay.
Don't bother. You're not gonna. You're not gonna need to.
It starts with a G.
Yeah.
G.
Yeah. Just don't waste your time on it.
God.
It's not important.
What does that have?
Who?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
So
what's going on here?
he Chris Broussard says Robert Saleh or Brian Flores paired with Mike McDaniel as the other one, Mike McDaniel as offensive coordinator. I'm not opposed to either scenario. It has been awkward for me to try to figure out where Steve Bisciotti might be with Brian Flores. That might be part of the reason why they wanted to bring in Brian Flores. We think of Steve Bisciotti as a protect the shield type of owner. But to be fair, I think we think of Ziggy Wolf as a protect the shield type of owner. And they hired Brian Flores in Minnesota. And I do think that maybe one of the lessons from the Colin Kaepernick fallout is if somebody thinks we're blackballing them, we can't blackball them. Like, we can't make it obvious that's what we're doing.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you have to be the team that hires them either. So I'm torn on that. The only part I disagree is, and Chris said it, and I brought up the Mike Golick was hellbent. You're not hiring a rookie head coach. Like, Mike Golick was, this needs to be someone with coaching experience. Yeah. He seemed to lean towards Kevin Stefanski. And I get it. Like, there are very few rookie head coaches that have ever won a Super Bowl. But the Ravens, and it's an awkward spot to be in. What we know of the Ravens, the way they operate is we want to be thinking about every year, not just 1 year. We're not just thinking about this year. But they did fire John Harbaugh specifically in part because he wasn't winning a Super Bowl. So how do they measure the importance of this 1 year versus what you would otherwise think the Ravens would do, which is try to hire a coach that's going to be here for 15, like their next John Harbaugh.
8 or 10 years minimum.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, a lot of people snicker at the idea of Davis Webb, right? He's 30 years old. But to understand the Ravens' interest in Davis Webb is very serious. Like, they think there's a chance that he might be the next Sean McVay, that he might be a truly difference-making offensive mind that could gel with players. I mean, it's crazy to me to think of a guy being the head coach of the team that's 1 year older than Lamar Jackson, but he's younger than Derrick Henry. But it's worked out really well in Los Angeles, obviously.
That might explain why Minter is not on that list of 9.
But there are rookies.
Well, they had Kubiak, and again, this might be like a favor to Gary Kubiak to interview Clint.
Maybe, but some of them. I mean, Davis Webb is 30. Davis Webb is 30 years old and has never even been a coordinator.
Was he on that list of 9?
He was interviewed yesterday. He's never even been a coordinator. He's 30, and he was interviewed for the job yesterday. Like, it isn't. That's why the Minter thing is so interesting. They have such a wide swath of candidates, and the one that to me was the betting favorite going in isn't on the list. Is Minter, right? Yeah. Which, as I said, it doesn't really matter who the betting favorite is going into an NFL head coaching. It's just trying to connect the dots.
Who does Griffin think is going to get the job?
I can't believe you know his name. That's remarkable.
Yeah.
It
comes
to be the new head coach.
Yeah.
He's a Kurt Signetti guy, actually.
Well, I wouldn't. I don't know. I mean, start throwing stuff at the wall. See what sticks.
Chris was talking when you said that the thing about Signetti might be the greatest coaching job in college. I said
right that Ron
even more
than
Ron
Vanderlinden. I don't think he knows who Ron Vanderlinden is. I don't think. I wanted to.
Can you educate me?
Yeah, Griffin doesn't know who Ron Vanderlinden is.
I lean towards trying to find the next Harbaugh, so Minter or Kubiak.
Okay.
How about Mark Duffner?
Mark, that was a hell of an era of Maryland football. You could count on them going 5-6. You could absolutely count on that.
I don't think 5 and 6.
I would have killed for 5 and 6 this year.
Yeah, 5 and 6 would have been great back then.
Well, they would always that was their height. Their height was they would tantalize with a year where they'd have like a shot at the end of the season. If we could win this game, we could get bowl eligible, and that was the best you had of Maryland football. Because then the next year they were going to lose to Villanova. That was the way that it was going to work. Stands here. It is a Friday edition of GCR. Today's show is brought to you by the best of issue of Pressbox, which is available for free at your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Go pick it up today. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com as we celebrate the top people, performances, and moments of 2025. And if you're not following us on TikTok, you need to do it. We're pumping out the content over on TikTok. We got to do some more originals, Griffin. We do need to work into that.
Well, I had one from the whatchamacallit, what's the show? Oh, the drinking show. While we were eating the pie.
Okay.
And then I was getting ready to post it, and then the Ravens decided to fire John Harbaugh.
Okay. That is
and
true.
I was like, I guess I should.
But I mean, like behind the scenes, we got to do more of that stuff that people get into.
There's no behind the scenes.
Yeah, right. We've never even looked at each other. We have no idea. I don't even know what his name is.
This will be the content. It's me and Glenn arguing about wrestling, I guess.
Duffner wasn't quite as bad at Maryland as I thought. He was 3-8.
Yeah.
2-9.
Right.
4-7. 6-5 and 5-6.
I can't believe there was a 6-5
I thought he was like more like
there.
2-9. Yeah.
Oh no, they definitely got to the point where like
he was 20-35.
I think it was 6-5, but missed a bowl game. Yeah. Like they didn't have enough bowl games back there for everybody to get in. So I think that might be the story of the 6-5.
He was 15-18 his last 3 years.
There was absolutely, you would have years where you would convince yourself that maybe Maryland football was turning a corner, but they weren't.
You know, he was coached in the NFL for 25 years as an assistant.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Had a heck of a run.
And at Holy Cross, he was 10-1, 11-0, 9-2, 10-1, 9-1, 11-0.
I love that this is what we're doing now. Yeah. I love that we're doing.
That's Duffner.
Mark Duffner Radio.
Yeah.
That's
not Ron Vander Linden.
Our next guest probably has some memories of Mark Duffner. If I had to guess,
who's that?
Probably remembers a thing or two about
Ginsburg.
Mark Duffner.
Ginsburg.
We do this every year. Before we do the Hall of Fame, we are going to ask him for some thoughts about his time covering John Harbaugh as well. But he comes on with us every year and unveils his Hall of Fame ballot with us. Of course, longtime Baltimore AP sports writer and a man whose job now is to just eat delicious steaks and post pictures of them when he goes to the Palm. He is Dave Ginsburg, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Ginzy, what's going on, brother? How are you? Oh, hang on. Ginzy, I think you're muted. We got to unmute you so we can hear you.
How about this one?
Yes, sir. What's going on, man?
I'm a technical wizard. No. I'm doing great, man. I'm doing very good.
I could tell. I saw that veal chop you were going after the other day.
How good was that, huh?
God.
Where was that at?
That was at the Palm Restaurant in Tyson's Corner.
Wow.
Oh, he's there frequently.
What do they charge? What do they charge for a veal chop there?
Dave doesn't know. Dave's eating for free every time he's at the
okay. I do.
Yeah.
I think it's around 70 bills, Stan, and the bone-in ribeyes a little more, but I've got my financial advisor taking care of it. We discuss a little business, a little sports, a little food, and checks on him.
I continue to desperately hope to be Dave Ginsburg when I grow up. Desperately hope that day comes. Hey, Ginzy, before we do the Hall of Fame, I do want to have you share some thoughts because obviously you covered John Harbaugh for a long time. Not as much about ultimately the decision, but really just what your takeaways were with someone who was here on day one when John Harbaugh showed up and what he brought to this organization.
Well, he first of all, a pure man, a religious man, a very good man, and there wasn't really any scandal under him. He was just he was a good guy, and I
guess we should say it's not any scandal that directly involved him because somebody would point out obviously the Ray Rice thing and Justin Tucker, but not that directly involved John Harbaugh.
Well, and yes, even that those were way off the field. It wasn't, they were a disciplined group, and I really enjoyed covering him. He was tough on some of the reporters, including me. If you didn't like those big picture questions, but at any rate, I think he had a great 18-year run. He'll end up somewhere whenever he wants to, somewhere else. But, getting to the end of it, it was probably time. I think the fans were getting restless. This team really underperformed. He left himself open for criticism for the use of Derrick Henry, and I think it's time for a new slate.
All right, Ginzy, we've done this. I don't remember when we started doing. Oh, Griffin just sent it to me. We've done this for damn near 10 years at this point. That's crazy to me that we've been doing it for as long as we have.
I've been voting much longer than that, but
Yeah.
I'm always glad to be a part of this, and I welcome the abuse that inevitably will follow on Twitter or X. as it were.
Undoubtedly, someone's going to be getting after you hardcore. There is no doubt about it.
I think, if I may, Glenn, the worst was when I did not vote Chipper Jones in. Atlanta fans abusive, and Stan the fan abusive for my disdain of Mike Musina's election.
Yeah,
Did you ever vote for Billy Wagner?
He did last year.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
But just
Yes, I
last
did.
year.
No, the last couple of years, I think.
Last
right?
couple of years?
Yeah,
Okay.
he
Since 22.
he blew a lot of saves. I mean, he wasn't Mariano Rivera, first ballot Hall of Famer, but he was good enough in my book to get in.
Well, let's start here, Gins, because it's not considered a great first-year class of nominees for the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Correct.
But there is one that I am sure, I cannot believe that you, Dave Ginsburg, would leave the great Nick Markakis off of your ballot. There's just no way that's the case. He doesn't have any votes yet publicly, according to the Baseball Hall of Fame tracker. But I have to think that's changing right now. Right, Dave Ginsburg? You're going to give Nick Markakis his first votes?
Let me tell you, I would put him in before J.J. Hardy, who was also on the ballot. So let's go that far. Nick was a really solid player, and you could say the same about a lot of these guys on the ballot. But I think if I'm Nick Markakis, I'm honored that my name was on the ballot, just like J.J. Hardy would be.
I can't believe
Not everyone gets on, so. He had enough to impress someone to put him on the ballot, and I'd be proud of that if I were Nick.
So no, Nick Markakis is not getting a vote.
But if he gets enough votes, maybe as the years go on.
Yeah, it's not looking like he's going to be back on the ballot again.
It's not.
In fact, it's not looking great for any of the first years. The most votes, there are 142 votes that are known currently, according to the BBHOF tracker. And of the first-year guys, Ryan Braun has the most Hall of Fame votes, 4. He has 442.
Well, I'm proud of my peers for seeing it that way as well. Some people, to me, as you well know, Glenn and Stan, you got to be good to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I've had a few. I mean, there were a couple of slam dunks, Ichiro and Rivera, but certainly no one on this ballot. They may get some momentum as it goes along, but with those 4 votes that Braun got, he's going to be pressed to get back on the ballot for another year.
Last year, you had 4 votes. Your votes were for Carlos Beltran, Ichiro, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner. We know 3 of those guys got in, so we'll begin with the only one that didn't. In 2026, Dave Ginsburg, are you again voting for Carlos Beltran?
I am.
Okay.
He's one of, I won't get into you'll eventually say how many I did vote in, but, I think that I thought the same last year. Time to forgive him for the cheating scandal with the Astros, which was really despicable, but it's only a small portion of his resume. And I think that's why he's been on the ballot so long. He's got some really good numbers, including these 9 All-Star appearances, Rookie of the Year, played 20 years, hit 435 homers. So, yeah, I mean, he probably, had he not been part of that sign stealing scandal with the Astros, probably, I think, would have been in earlier.
How many votes do you think Ryan Braun would have gotten had he not lied about the UPS, the delivery driver of his urine sample?
Elaborate.
Yeah.
Would he have 8 votes?
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, his resume is not exactly sparkling anyway. Good, really solid player, but that's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I think in anyone's books except for those 4 guys.
Yeah.
All right, so we know one. Dave Ginsburg does retain a vote for Carlos Beltran. How many total votes do you have on this year's ballot?
I have 3.
You have always been a judicious voter. You have never been someone who's out there putting in 10 guys on your ballot.
You are correct.
No, he's Jewish.
I
He's
think
Jewish. That's why he's judicious.
Well, it would be. I gotta be honest, guys. It'd be tough to come up with 10 and legitimize all 10 of those votes. You know what I mean? I'd hate to be sitting with you now and trying to explain all 10 guys that I voted in because, I mean, look at that ballot. There are not 10 guys that are worth voting in. Certainly not this year.
All right, so we know there are no first-year guys. We know you have two other votes. I have combed through, and there are other guys that you have voted for in the past that you did not vote for last year. And Griffin gave me this list of names that at some point in the past you have voted for Omar Vizquel, you have voted for Andy Pettit, you have voted for Andrew Jones, and he points out that way back in 2017 you actually voted for Manny Ramirez in the Baseball Hall of Fame ballot. So can I assume that the other votes might come from that group of guys?
There are two of those guys that I voted in, and I don't know what I was thinking with Ramirez because when I look at he's got the numbers that really back it up. I think it was one of those years, Glenn, that I just decided, well, everyone used steroids, so I'm not going to let that impact my vote. But I only did it once, and then I decided my conscience got me, and that was the only time I guess I voted for Manny.
Okay.
But there are two guys there that are on that ballot, one of which has been associated with performance-enhancing drugs, but nevertheless, I did not think it was as bad a violation as some of the others.
So you want to unveil who those two votes go to?
I will. I will go with Andrew Jones.
Okay.
And I went back to Pettit. His time on that ballot is near expiring, and I'm not sure my peers will feel the same way I do. But when I see 19 playoff wins, the most of anyone in Major League history, that's part of the reason that I voted for him. And Andrew Jones is just a solid player, glove and bat.
So let's talk about both of those guys. And you obviously allude to HGH use. Andy Pettit admitted to HGH use in his career. Is your line of demarcation that you don't believe HGH use was the reason that Andy Pettit was a great baseball or a great pitcher?
Well, that is exactly correct. When he came out and acknowledged that he did use a drug, those kind of drugs, he said it was to help him get over an injury. And I don't think that added any mileage to his fastball. I think it just enabled him to get better quickly, recover quickly or quickie.
Quicker.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Okay.
We talk for a living.
That's why I'm a writer.
Living.
Exactly. At any rate, and he admitted it. It wasn't like he was exposed for using it. So those are my reasons, and his numbers are solid. So that's why I voted for him. I forgave him for that. It wasn't as terrible as A-Rod's use of steroids and other guys, Manny, guys that were actually suspended for the use of steroid or performance enhancing drugs.
I've got one player I'd like to ask you about, and I'm guessing you've never voted for him or even thought of voting for him. Is Bobby Abreu? Have you ever looked really closely at his numbers?
I cannot quote those numbers offhand. I'd be willing to listen, and if he's got,
I'm not suggesting you'll change this year, but 291 batting average. On-base percentage, 395, OPS, 870, 400 stolen bases, 2,470 hits, only 288 home runs, but a wonderful ball player. And I'm wondering if you would, does that merit some consideration with those numbers?
How many All-Star appearances? Do you know?
Let me look. Hold on. Only two-time All-Star, but a Gold Glove winner, Silver Slug winner, and a home run derby champion.
Well, obviously, I don't really put much merit into the last
I don't either.
One. However, that worthy of consideration. I think if
60.2 WAR.
Well, I would say this: anyone who has him on their ballot, I would not chastise.
Okay.
It's not a. It's. I think he's. There are a lot of guys here, I think, that are borderline that I give more consideration to as their time on the ballot increases. That was one of the things with Billy Wagner. He was on there for a while. People let it stew a little bit, and then he gained some momentum and got in. And I'll tell you what, Stan, I'll look at Abreu closer
Okay.
next time I get to vote. And I
Okay.
appreciate that input.
All right.
The thought on Andrew Jones, Stan brought up a little bit earlier on, he would have one of the lower batting averages. And right now Andrew Jones is trending, although it's close the way that these public ballots work. A lot of times you get the later ballots in and these numbers tend to go down. But at the moment, Andrew Jones is at 83.2%, and I guess ticks up because now we know he's on your ballot. But he would have one of the lower career batting averages of hitters that got into the Baseball Hall of Fame, as he finished with a career batting average of 254. Why is that not disqualifying to you, Dave?
Because we're doing Zoom and I don't have, I guess I can't look specifically at Baseball Reference, but I seem to recall he was a fantastic glove man.
He sure was.
10-time Gold Glove winner.
There it is. I knew he had several Gold Gloves to his credit,
And five-time All-Star.
There it is. 254. I think that he helped his team. Was he all Braves, or he just helped his team with his glove, and he didn't just play. He played an important position there. And to me, a 10-time Gold Glove player, not a first ballot guy. He's been there for a while, and I just think that it's time to let him in, and let's give some credit to the other side of the field, the glove.
Just to make the comparison again, Bobby Abreu 400 stolen bases, Andrew Jones 152. On base percentage, Andrew Jones 337 to Bobby Abreu 395, 823 OPS, and Bobby Abreu 870, and a 291 batting average versus 254. Home runs and Gold Gloves, no question about it. But I think Bobby Abreu is very undervalued by most.
Well, indeed. But again, I look at he had more. Well, if you're looking at Andrew Jones, he had 2.5 times more All-Star appearances. There's 10 Gold Gloves.
Yep.
Hard to ignore.
Yep.
And a very important part of a very good team, which was another factor.
Anyone else that you struggled with this year on the ballot, Dave? Anyone else that you thought about? You said, I don't know, I might revisit that next year.
Well, certainly not from the first ballot guys. They're going to have to be there for a little while. I looked at Mark Burley. He's got 14 straight years of 200 innings, which is impressive. But his overall numbers, I think he had a 3.81 ERA, which is okay, and never won 20. A lot of double-digit wins, and simply that's. I will revisit him down the road, but I did consider it and then just simply thought that not yet.
Gins, as a writer, did the fact that Mark Burley's games were much faster than most other pitchers, did that factor into your consideration?
Yeah.
Every time he pitched, Scott Garceau would go, "This game's really rolling along, isn't it?" And it was the jinx of all time. Anyone who says that gets bounced from the box.
I agree.
Garceau took pride in just throwing it out there because he left in the 6th inning.
Hey, one other player, and I'm not saying I would vote for him if I were Hall of Fame voting, but David Wright seems to still get a fair amount of consideration. Did you look at him at all?
I did not.
Okay.
However, I thought he was great with the Mets, and David Wright was more. He had more than just numbers. He was a very important part of that team.
Yeah.
He was a absolute team leader there, and I'd have to say I didn't study him hard because I didn't think that he had the numbers, but like Abreu, that would be someone I'd look at in the future simply because of the contribution he had to the game.
It's another one of those players, like almost like a Mattingly. I'm not saying he was as good as Mattingly, but injuries really, shortchanged his career quite a bit, David.
Yeah,
right?
they did, and that's unfortunate because he sure would have had a lot more home runs. He was a
Yeah.
pretty good power hitter, and it's unfortunate that he missed a chance to be more of a playoff player because the Mets didn't have that great of a team, and when he was healthy, they didn't win enough.
Dave, we started this talking about an Orioles legend and Nick Markakis. I think we should maybe wrap by discussing one more Orioles legend, that, of course, being the great Felix Hernandez, he who made all of 0 starts as a Baltimore Oriole. Felix is up to 58.4% of known ballots this year after being at 20% as a final total. And I think that number will go down some, but he's going to trend up significantly. When Felix Hernandez was in his prime, he was as dominant as any pitcher in baseball. Is that enough that maybe that, could be someone that you could find yourself considering in the coming years?
Glenn, I actually did look at a lot of his numbers. He's a guy, King Felix, he was dominant for a very short period of time compared to how long he pitched. In his latter years, he lost it. I don't know whether it was an injury. I can't recall, but his overall numbers are not impressive. But he threw a perfect game. He had a stretch there that he was simply
from
awesome.
09 to 15, he was, again, right there with the best pitchers in all of baseball.
Exactly.
How about that little stint in spring training with the Orioles?
Orioles legend, as I said. Yeah,
didn't
no doubt.
that sway you?
Of course.
Yeah, and he hung on a little too long. His numbers, his actual career numbers, really tailed off because of his last few seasons.
Yeah.
But Glenn, absolutely, King Felix is someone I was on my radar and probably will be in the future. I will study a little closer, and it to me, it's like the Beltran thing when he's not a first, second, third ballot, but he belongs in the hall, and that's the way. And I would really consider that with Felix for some of the things that he did for a very short period, but was dominant as anyone in the game for that period of time.
Just looking ahead to next year, it's not, again, an overwhelming first-year eligible group. Ryan Zimmerman was obviously a very popular player in Washington, but not a Hall of Famer.
Correct.
Former Oriole Jake Arrieta, who had an unbelievable run in Chicago, but almost certainly not a Hall of Famer. I think the one name that everybody assumes is a first-ballot Hall of Famer, but again, someone whose career was cut a little bit short by injury. To you, thinking right now, is Buster Posey a slam dunk because of the championships?
Not a slam dunk.
Okay.
I would. He was, and Buster Posey was more. He was sort of like the David Wright. He was really an inspiration for the Giants during his run, and that to me is something I would consider as well. I don't know that he's a slam dunk, but there aren't that many tremendous catchers that belong in the Hall or that are in the Hall, and certainly he could be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think it'll be close.
All right. Very good. Dave Ginsburg, again, 3 votes this year. Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones, and Andy Pettit.
Can I ask him about one other player?
All right.
We've calculated that Chris Davis will probably be Hall of Fame eligible next year. Does he get a vote, Gins?
He does not, but man, you talk about a guy that had a great short period of time in which he was great. And guys, you tell me, if they didn't have the shift, do you think he would have been?
We talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
Gins, I brought that up to Buck Showalter about a month ago, and he said the shift wasn't really the problem. He goes, physically, his body just deteriorated. He just said he just couldn't play at the level he did because of his injuries. To me, it was the shift, but that's Buck Showalter managed him, and
I'm going to have to believe Buck. And also, guys, if only he could have learned to bunt down the third base line. Just make it a threat. Let other teams think that he could do that, and that might have impacted the shift.
Yeah.
But never did. Boy, he could really. I mean, guy could pitch and hit, mostly hit, obviously, but he showed he could win a game as a pitcher. I like Chris Davis.
That's got to be Hall of Fame worthy.
I don't think
the
it's
pitching.
gonna.
The pitching.
I think his glove from that game got to visit the Hall of Fame, and I think that's about the extent.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, guys, I mean, this is why the 5-year contract is just not a good thing. I say for any team. I remember Hoyles. I know we're off topic here, but guys who get 5 years, they rarely make it those 5 years.
Yeah.
Dave Ginsburg, always appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for doing this. We will no doubt talk to you before then, but always thank you for doing this with us.
Okay, it's my pleasure. And Glenn, I looked up that song that you put on Facebook by the Killers.
It's a good one, Dave.
It is a good one, and what you need to do is look at the music video.
Oh, I don't know that I've actually ever seen the video. It's for all these things that I've done, which I stand by.
Yes.
Everybody loves Mr. Brightside. It's a great song. But I'm telling you, the quintessential Killers song is all these things that I've done.
It's a wonderful song. I really wasn't that familiar with it until I saw your post. You need to look at that video. It's weird stuff.
I'll spend a minute with it. I'm with you, but love you, buddy. Appreciate you.
Okay, man.
Happy New Year, Gins. Happy New Year.
Great Dave Ginsburg
Thank
with
you.
us to unveil his Baseball Hall of Fame ballot for this year. Real quick, earlier in the week, I was so caught off guard by I got these from Bet Online, which is the former Bovada, which was the former Bodog. It's the offshore betting, which nobody does anymore because you can, bet in America. But they originally put out their Ravens next head coach odds, and they had Chris Shula as their betting favorite, which was so random to me.
That's very odd.
Not that Chris Shula wouldn't be a fine coach. He might be. I just had no idea why that would be the favorite. They have updated it today, and the new betting favorite is the one that I thought should be the betting favorite. They have Jesse Minter at 5-4 at plus 125, which is wild to me. But there's another number that's even wilder. No, it's definitely not a lock. And as I always say, odds related to coaching at the college level, relevant. At the NFL level, far less relevant. We often think they're based around knowledge that somebody has. They're really normally just based around connections. That's it. They are not almost ever based on inside knowledge for NFL coaching odds. They have, Jesse Minter now at plus 125, and then Brian Flores as their second choice at plus 350. Clint Kubiak 4-1, Cliff Kingsbury 8-1, and Kevin Stefanski, Joe Brady, and Mike McDaniel all 9-1. And Chris Shula went from being their betting favorite to being 10-1 to be the Ravens' next head
I'm throwing
coach.
up Kalshi. Is it Kalshi?
Kalshi, yeah.
Throwing up their odds.
They've got Minter
They
now.
also have Minter as the favorite.
And again, I think Minter. It's funny that Anthony Weaver isn't even until 25-1 on Bodogs. Look, the Ravens, as I said before, they revere Anthony Weaver, and anyone who's ever spent time around Anthony Weaver understands that. Like, he is a man. But
now, is he available as a DC?
He would be, but a lot of people have the opinion. I mean, they could have had him as their DC the last time, and they chose to go with Zach Orr.
Right.
A lot of people are of the opinion that Anthony Weaver is more of a football CEO than he is a X's and O's play caller. Okay. And the Dolphins' defense was not overwhelming as he was their DC the last couple of years. But
So
as
like a Dan Campbell type, where
as a leader, man, Anthony Weaver absolutely is a leader. There's no question about that in my mind. Interestingly enough, Stan, they definitely are biting on the Stephen Ross connection because they now have John Harbaugh as a minus 175 favorite to be the next head coach of the Dolphins.
Oh, wow.
Jesse Minter as the second choice. And
I think Harbaugh's not a lock, but I think he's a real good chance. I think, what's the name of the owner of the Falcons?
Arthur Blank.
I think he's going to make a big push for him.
I think he will, too. Gary Myers has been reporting all week the Giants have been very heavy in their pursuit of John Harbaugh. And of the job, if those were the three jobs, of the jobs, to me, there is no debate that the Giants is the best job of those three. Clearly, the connection with his family and Stephen Ross is what's weighing those odds, and that's why the odds are normally based on connections. That's what they're typically based on in NFL searches.
Do you think Harbaugh's a guy that would like to live in New York, though?
I think he's someone who would be willing to live in. He wouldn't live in New York.
Well, I mean,
he'd live in New
obviously
Jersey.
he'd live in,
I don't think that suburban northern New Jersey is so dramatically different than
Owings Mills.
Yeah, that would have any impact on his decision. Now, look, to say who wouldn't want to live in Miami, sure, I get it, but John Harbaugh's also not like. He's not a Miami guy inherently.
Right.
He's a through and through old school guy. Who are you trying to share? What are you trying to put up there, Griffin?
The Ravens have completed an interview
with Clint Kubiak. Yeah, and that makes sense again because the only coaches that were allowed to actually interview this week are the number 1 seeds. Right. So the 2 Broncos assistants and now Clint Kubiak of the Seahawks. Those are the only coaches that are actually. That's not true. The coaches whose teams didn't make the playoffs are also allowed to interview, or Kevin Stefanski would have been allowed to interview, but clearly the Ravens are either not going to be interviewing and Kevin Stefanski aren't interested or are comfortable doing it next week.
Who do you think's in on those interviews? I mean, who do you think? Do you think Steve
I think Steve believes that head coach is his responsibility.
Right.
That's my.
So you think it's Steve and?
But I absolutely think that Eric's in on them.
No, Eric's definitely in on them.
And I think Sashi Brown is in on them. I think Ozzie. I think that knowing the way that Steve values Ozzie, I absolutely think that Ozzie is in on them. In the past, Kevin was. So do they have Chad in on them? I don't know.
It's possible.
It's quite possible. That was always something they valued Kevin, but. I think that the way they valued Kevin was as an actual football executive, too, beyond just being a PR person. I don't know. I'm not saying they wouldn't do that with Chad Steele. I just don't know that the way that I knew it with Kevin Byrne.
Think Jerry Sandusky's in on those?
I don't think Jerry quite makes the cut for those.
Rod probably is, though. Right?
Yeah, Rod doesn't even live here. I don't think they're going to fly Rod in.
He zooms in.
It zooms in. That's fair. It's also worth hearing about Miami that everybody also thought that was the reason they were going to hire Chad Alexander to be their GM. Of course, he was in Baltimore for years, working under Eric DeCosta and Ozzie Newsome, but they ended up not hiring Chad Alexander. They hired what's his face from the Packers as their new GM in Miami.
Don't remember.
I don't remember his name either. Griffin will tell us in a second.
One other thing, the Kevin Brown rumors about the NBC thing.
That wouldn't preclude him.
John Eric Sullivan.
So he would do like 5 days a week of Oriole games.
I mean, it wouldn't. My understanding is it wouldn't really be all that much different than
like what Joe Davis,
or no, that what he did. Because he was doing
ESPN.
he was doing the Statcast, Sunday Night Baseball broadcasts, and
so. But then it still might be 5 a week. Then if he's got one night with NBC and then he still does that.
Well, that doesn't exist. There's no Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN anymore. There is no Statcast. Sunday Night Baseball, in fact, will be on NBC.
Oh, okay. Right,
yeah.
And Sunday morning baseball.
They said
Peacock.
They said Benetti's still the front runner for NBC.
That's the thought. But I think they're going to hire multiple people because, as Stan brought up, they're also going to have a Peacock.
Morning.
It's not just going to be one game a week. Hang on a second. NBC MLB broadcast plans. Let me make sure I have this correct. They're going to have 60 games across NBC and Peacock. So it probably is about 2. What is that? Hang on, I can do this.
And it'll be Sunday. It'll be
6 months of season.
It's 27 weeks.
27 weeks. So it's two and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
Not quite 2.5 games per week.
Right.
That will be broadcast between NBC and Peacock.
And the All-Star and Home Run Derby is with Netflix? No.
Home Run Derby, I believe, is Netflix.
Netflix.
And the All-Star game
Does
is
Netflix
still
have an
Fox.
opening day game as well? Or?
Something like that. Man, it's...
Can't wait to see.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure
and
all
Oriole
that out.
Tuesday games will be
available. Actually, Stan will just be yelling them at you. That's the way it's... Like, if you want to watch the Orioles games on Tuesday, Stan just stands outside your window and says, hell, he threw another ball. That's the way that's going to go. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by Live Casino and Hotel, where they are giving
We do
away.
have one more break.
We haven't. Oh, we didn't take a break before Gins?
No, we didn't.
Son of a bitch. I thought we did.
We also have to reveal our
Let's
ballots.
take a break.
No.
And fight each other about
Griffin always wanted us to do that. Why don't we do that next Friday? Why don't we do that?
I'm not here next Friday.
What the hell are you doing, man? Griffin, Do you care? Do you have an idea of who you'd vote for on the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Yeah, Bobby
ballot?
Abreu, and that's it. That's
just Bobby Abreu. Stan, do you have an idea who you'd vote for?
I would definitely vote for Bobby Abreu.
I know you would, but do you have do you know who your full ballot would be?
My full ballot would probably be Carlos Beltran.
Well, let's save it on the other side.
All right,
What's that?
All right,
We're
we'll
gonna
talk
tease.
about it
It's
on the
called
other
teasing.
side of the break.
I'll teach you
That's
radio.
fine. Lord, I don't want to post. We're posting too much today, Griffin. We need to spread our content out better. All right, we got to do that. Coming back.
Well, we can save it then. We'll do it here, and then we'll save
Fine.
it for another day.
Come back and do it. Yeah. Get in the game with Volo Sports. With over 15 sports to choose from, join a league or grab a Volo membership for discounted play, free daily pickups, fitness classes, and exclusive events. But the best part? A portion of every league fee helps the Volo Kids Foundation provide free sports to over 5,000 kids across Baltimore City each year. Don't miss out. Early pricing for the winter season ends December 12th. Final registration deadline is January 15th. Sign up now at volosports.com/Baltimore.
This January, go for the gold at Live Casino and enter to win the ultimate winter experience. Earn the entire month of January, and on Saturday, January 24th, you could be one of 25 lucky winners to take their place on the podium and win a share of $50,000 in prizes, including a trip to the 2026 Winter Games in Milano Cortina. Let the games begin at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The weather's getting cooler, so when you and your family are picking out a place to dine, be it lunch or dinner, let's make it nice and easy. Now, with 2 great locations, the Costas Inn remains your #1 destination. Whether you want to get steamed crabs and the full Costas menu out at the original location at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or sample the complete menu minus the steamed crabs at the new location above the grandstand at the Timonium Racetrack, Costas is your place to go. Check out the website costasin.com for a look at the menu, and if you want to plan that crab feast, call 410-477-1975. The Costas Inn.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Looking for Baltimore's premier waterfront dining experience? Head to Nick's Fish House, located in the Baltimore Peninsula. Enjoy crabs all year long, plus happy hour Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. Planning a celebration? From rehearsal dinners to corporate crab feasts, Nick's is the spot to make it unforgettable. And the fun doesn't stop there. Live music fills the air every Thursday through Sunday. Check out the full lineup at nicksfishhouse.com. Nick's, it's where Baltimore comes to eat, drink, and play by the water.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Griffin really wants you to know who he'd vote for if he had a Hall of Fame vote.
Well, people want to know what the correct ballot
That's
should look like.
really what we're doing here. This is about Griffin specifically. So Griffin,
Well,
by all means,
it is. I mean, it's all about me.
You're
yes.
a Hall of Fame.
I agree with the 3 that Ginzy had. And then I've also always had Manny on, Manny Ramirez on, and Alex Rodriguez. Like the stats are just the stats. Like they should be in. And we talked about it being a down year. So then there's like 3 other guys that I think we could discuss, but I just I wouldn't have put them in last year, and that's Bobby Abreu, Chase Utley, and then Felix Hernandez. And I think it's just because it's a shallower class. That allows for more discussion maybe about these guys. Utley had a 65 WAR, 6-time All-Star. Obviously won a World Series. 259. He is the 6th most home runs by a second baseman. All time, and it was a long. I think a lot of his career, like the Dodgers days, like I think he just wasn't very good with the Dodgers. Obviously, he was still playing in meaningful games because they were in the playoffs every year. But I think Utley's got a case, but I would stick with those 5: Pettit, Andrew Jones, Carlos Beltran, and then add Manny Ramirez and Alex Rodriguez.
What about you, Stan?
I am Beltran. I am Abreu. I'm gonna finally give in and say that Andrew Jones is a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
And
That's big of you.
And Andy Pettit and probably Chase Utley.
Okay.
That would be my ballot.
I'm
close on Manny Ramirez too. You know.
What's keeping him out? Like just the steroids?
To me, when I talk about a steroid user, like was your greatness based on whether or not you use steroids? Like Mark McGwire to me is not a Hall of Famer by any measure.
Right.
He was a guy who was a really good home run hitter who hit a prodigious amount of home runs specifically because he used steroids. So nothing about Mark McGwire to me makes him a Hall of Fame baseball player. Barry Bonds, to me, is a Hall of Fame baseball player because Barry Bonds' greatness as a baseball player wasn't because he used steroids.
Right. I agree.
So to me, Manny Ramirez is not a Hall of Famer.
I mean, how knowledgeable did we know Manny Ramirez was like? He was juicing like.
I mean, I have no idea if we know. I don't know.
I mean,
if
like we knew everybody was using steroids, right? Like,
yes.
and like, was it like kind of like he's probably using steroids, or like we knew like
we did that with everybody.
I'll
we
tell
did
you
that
who
right.
I'm very close on.
Well, my point is, people didn't care. He was a 12-time All-Star. Like,
I understand that.
I'm very close on Bonds. I'm very close on Ramirez, and I got to tell you who goes in that category is Rafael Palmeiro.
I think Rafael Palmeiro is a 500 home run, 3,000 hit baseball
You think
player.
Manny Ramirez hit 555 homers only because he was using steroids?
No, I don't think he hit all 555 only because he was using steroids. I think he might have been a 400 home run guy that hit 555 because he used steroids.
All right, do you think 400 is not enough? I mean, Andrew Jones is going in, and
I think that Manny Ramirez was a loss, a negative as a defensive player.
He had a 996
You were
career
worse
OPS.
if Manny Ramirez was playing in the field. Your team was, if you were in the field, they were better off than if Manny Ramirez was in the field.
Good outfielder. Like,
But they couldn't have pinch hit for him all 4 times.
That's the problem. I probably wouldn't have done it.
I can lay down a bunt.
Comparing Manny Ramirez to Andrew Jones as a baseball player is insane. Andrew Jones was a baseball player. Manny Ramirez did one thing. Now, he did it very well.
Yeah, he did it significantly better than Andrew Jones.
Yes. But to me, that one thing was aided by the fact that he used steroids.
I think I would vote for Markakis as well. Just if someone's voting for Shin-Soo-Choo, then
I have somebody like that on my list. Here are my 5 just for the silliness
Nobody
of it.
asked about. Were you interested in?
You know,
we don't get to post it.
I appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah.
I am kind of
Mine
interested. Glenn, who would your 5
Mine are
be?
Andrew Jones, Carlos Beltran, Alex Rodriguez, Felix Hernandez would get a vote for me.
Right.
Yes, I get at the tail end it wasn't as good, but Sandy Koufax and Pedro Martinez had really dominant short runs. And I do measure by that. And this is selfish. I just want to vote for him because he's one of my favorite baseball players I ever watched. Torrey Hunter gets a vote for me.
The Torrey Hunter.
I love Torrey Hunter. So
Jackie Brandt was one of my favorite baseball players.
now,
but I would never,
I
in
understand.
a million years.
But to be fair, no one else would either.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few people that voted for Torrey Hunter, although
he
he's
might
definitely.
get left
I don't know
off
what's
now.
happened that all of a sudden in year 6, he's losing traction, which is wild to me.
Well, it's because it's once you get to a point where it's clear you're not getting in, people don't.
You're not wasting your vote because it's not like there are other guys that are. This is a bad ballot. It's just strange to me that all of a sudden,
very strange.
that all of a sudden Torrey Hunter is losing.
Everyone's mad and
They're just bailing. They're just saying, forget it.
He got
We're
7% of the
Jackie
vote.
Brandt
2
has
years
a
ago.
13.1 WAR.
How about that? There you go. I don't think he's going to make it. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel, where they are giving away a trip to the Winter Olympics, and you can win your share of $50,000. Find out more right now by going to livech.com.
Chase Utley has the 6 most home runs by a second baseman.
Okay, so who has more?
For the top 5.
Jeff Kent.
Jeff Kent, Hall of
Wait a minute,
Famer
I
Jeff
didn't-
Kent.
What's this, the second baseman?
Most home runs by a second baseman.
Joe Morgan?
Joe Morgan is number 5, yes, 268. 354 for Kent. by the way.
How about Ryan Sandberg?
Ryan Sandberger's 3rd, 275.
How about Bobby Grich?
Bobby Grich not up there.
How about Brett Boone?
No Brett Boone. Bobby Grich had 204. He's 17.
Rogers
Rogers Hornsby is up there, 4th, 272, 4 ahead of Joe Morgan. Missing number 2 all time.
Robbie Alomar.
Not Robbie Alomar.
How about
Alomar at 210. He's one spot ahead of Gertsch.
How about
Old timers?
How about Altuve?
Not Altuve. Altuve is at 255. He's going to be up there. He will be up there. But he's he's behind Utley. He's 4 behind Utley.
We're missing one.
We're missing number 2. He had 335 home runs, and he's a modern guy. Well, I don't know. Will he be on the ballot soon? I don't know what his last year was.
Second baseman.
Oh, Robbie Cano.
Yes, Robinson.
Robbie Cano.
Don't you know Robbie Cano?
335 home runs for Robinson Cano. Only seconds
we're looking for
behind
one
Jim.
more.
We got them
all.
all. We're good.
We're
good.
When was the last time that Robinson Cano played baseball? MLB baseball.
2022.
Yes. He played for 3 teams.
The Mets.
Arizona. No, the White Sox.
Never Arizona in his career.
How about the White Sox?
Never White Sox.
Robbie Cano. I don't remember who it was besides the Mets.
It was with the Mets, and then Robbie Cano went Atlanta.
Yes.
Wow.
Atlanta. But there was a stop between the Mets and Atlanta though. He was released on May 8th. And then signed 5 days later with this team, and then they released him on June 2nd.
I don't know. We gotta go, man. It's 12:43.
This is tidbit, Glenn.
No, Griffin, we gotta go.
Where?
Just tell us.
Where do we have
Just
to go?
Griffin?
Just tell us.
There was another team.
Just tell us.
No, we're not
on
doing
there for
it.
a month.
Just say the name of the team, or we're moving.
Name a team.
No, we're moving on.
Name a team.
Here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Tubular is brought to you by the
Where
Stand
do
the
you think
Fan
Robinson
Variety
was?
Hour. You had the chance to say the name of the team.
I wanted you
We've
to guess
moved on.
one.
We're not doing that. We gotta
It's
go.
called tidbit.
Griffin,
So
we gotta
too
go.
hard. So it's too hard.
Yeah,
I
you
beat
got
you.
it.
I beat you.
Here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise.
He was a San Diego Padre.
Thank you. The Stand the
for
Fan
4 weeks.
Variety Hour is brought to you each week by the Costas Inn with 2 great locations, one on North Point Boulevard, the other in Timonium at the Grandstand. And the OG on North Point Boulevard will be hosting the great Rick Dempsey for just a hangout, night for you to come, take pictures, get autographs from the 1983 World Series MVP Rick Dempsey. That's coming up on January 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. at the OG 4100 North Point Boulevard in Dundalk at the Costas Inn. Here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise this weekend. Tonight, the other semifinal, Oregon and Indiana, 7:30 in the Peach Bowl on ESPN. Winner gets Miami in Miami for the national championship. Tomorrow, the playoffs, Rams-Panthers, 4:30 on Fox. Packers-Bears, 8 o'clock on Prime. Maryland basketball, go get them, boys, on the road at UCLA, 8 o'clock tomorrow night on Fox. ESPN Plus tomorrow. UMBC hosts New Hampshire at 1. Navy hosts Lafayette at 2. Morgan hosts South Carolina State at 4. Coppin hosts North Carolina Central at 4:30. Loyola's at Bucknell at 5. And tomorrow at 2 on Flow Sports, a team
Get
that
off the schneid.
badly needs a win. Badly.
No place that Scary loves playing more than Boston.
Towson and Northeastern tomorrow at 2 on Flow Sports. Boy,
They're
my
going to win.
God.
They're going to win.
They better. They better.
Oi. Or they won't. Yeah.
It is not good. Not good.
Oy vey.
Sunday, the playoffs, Bills-Jaguars 1 on CBS. 49ers-Eagles 4:30 on Fox. Chargers-Patriots at 8 on NBC. The Maryland women host Ohio State at 4 Sunday on Peacock. Everything
What
else.
time is the Raven game on?
Yeah, unfortunately, keep looking. Anything non-sports-wise that stands out?
No. Penultimate episode of Season 2, Landman on Sunday, Paramount Plus. And then the Golden Globes, hosted by Nikki Glaser.
What are they on?
CBS, Sunday night.
I didn't know that they were doing
Which
that.
night?
Sunday night.
Sunday night. That's
Yeah.
right.
So
I like
it's
Nikki
that or-
Glaser, and I tend to watch award shows, but there'll be football on,
Yeah, there
so
will be football.
that won't be something I'll be doing.
Yeah.
That will not be happening. All right. Thanks today to Chris Broussard from Fox. Thanks also to Dave Ginsburg, to Stan. And we're about to hear from Trequan Jones. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Season 4 of Industry on HBO as well. Sunday night.
Sally Draper is on
really?
Industry. And I didn't realize that until I've been doing this Mad Men rewatch. And Sally Draper might be the most compelling character on Mad Men. And so I was doing a deep dive on the actress that played Sally Draper, and she's on Industry, which I, of course, gave up on because it was so nauseating in the middle of season 1. It's not a good show.
Oh, Kiernan Shipka.
Shipka, yes, correct, is in the cast of Industry. Thanks to do you have any planned shows next week, Stan?
Not yet.
All right. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, Volo Sports, the Costas Inn, 1-800-GAMBLER, helpmygamblingproblem.org, your Baltimore area High's Dairy Stores, Nick's Fish House, Live Casino and Hotel, and much more. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great weekend. Go local basketball teams.
Please.
Duke sucks. We wrap up today's show. Had to do this a little bit earlier on. Incoming Maryland football transfer Trequan Jones right here on GCR. Well, joining us now here on GCR, he just made the decision that he's going to come play football at the University of Maryland. He is a former Old Dominion running back and now a Terp. He's Trequan Jones, and I'm told, Trequan, you prefer to go by Q, so we're going to go with Q then, right? Q, what's going on? Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yes, sir. I'm going by Q today. I'm doing pretty good today. How you doing?
Man. I'm great. Hey, Q, I think I want to start with your path to ending up at Maryland, right? Because it's a little bit different. I know, in the portal era, there are guys that are moving from place to place, but you kind of got your collegiate start in a place that's a little bit different than everybody else. Can you kind of walk us through your journey that's now brought you to the University of Maryland?
Yes, sir. I started out at a JUCO in Georgia out of high school. I was really focused on going D1 mainly. I really didn't know too much about JUCO. And then my coach told me that a school in Georgia wanted me. I had two friends that previously went there, and I talked to them about it. And I ended up going there, taking a visit, just wanted a better opportunity. And I just took the risk for real. And I went up there. I redshirted my freshman year for like 5 games. And then they needed me to play, and they took my red shirt away. And I played the rest of the season. I did pretty good. And I came back the 24th season, and I started. I did pretty good, And I had faced an injury mid-season and faced some adversity and stuff like that, but ain't none that the Lord could overcome.
Man.
So I got over that, and and I just ended up at Old Dominion University. The following season, I got Old Dominion in May, late May.
You referenced the JUCO, Georgia Military College, which even in and of itself a little bit different than a lot of JUCOs, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you walk me through what that experience, both the JUCO part in general, and obviously specifically it being a military school, what that did, how you grew as a person? Maybe did it humble you a little bit? Was there work ethic that you learned from it? How did it improve you for now getting that opportunity to play, to your point, D1 and now on into the Big Ten?
Oh, yes, sir. So it made me grow up even faster, like going out there to a whole different state for the first time straight. Like a couple weeks after high school, I had to grow up fast. I went up there without knowing anybody, no money in my pocket or anything. I just had to stay down and just keep my head down and keep working. But the military part, they didn't make us do the military. I asked that on my visit. It was an option. But yeah, I went up there, stayed down for a year. Just JUCO, you gotta go on JUCO. You can't just go up there with the wrong mindset. You gotta work every day. You gotta do extra work. You can't just rely on coaches' practices and team lifts and stuff like that. You gotta just get on your own and just go work. Like if you don't do no extra work in JUCO, you're not gonna make it out. If you just trying to rely on talent, you're not gonna make it out. You gotta have a different mindset. You gotta be a dog. Like JUCO really humbled me. I feel like I was always pretty humble, but it showed me that it could always be the worst situation. Like when I went to a D1 school, I realized how blessed it is just to be there. Like folks, like people, like really blessed to go from high school to straight to D1. People don't realize what type of blessing that is.
Do you feel like you carry that hunger with you despite the fact that now you've reached, again, this is the Big Ten, right? Like this is the highest. Do you feel like you still carry that hunger with you and knowing where you've come from, even as you've now gotten to sort of the pinnacle of college football?
Oh, yes, sir. I feel like if I just get the Big Ten and just get the big head, I feel like it was all for no reason. Like God put me through that whole process for no reason. Like I always believe in the turtle race, the slow and steady. So if I went through JUCO and did all that just to get to the Big Ten, get comfortable, it's going to be all for no reason. I feel because I haven't done anything yet. I haven't just put myself in I put myself in a better situation, but it's not the best that where I want to be. I feel like I haven't accomplished anything yet.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I love that hunger. He is Trequan Jones, incoming Maryland football transfer, running back from Old Dominion, and he's with us here on GCR. Q, something that jumped out at me about you going from Old Dominion to Maryland is you're actually going from one of the best running offenses in the entire country to, frankly, one of the worst, right? Like, did that concern you at all in making the decision to go to Maryland? Is, hey, why weren't you guys able to run the ball better? Or do you feel like, hey, that's why I'm here? It's because I'm going to help solve that problem for Maryland?
No, sir. I wasn't really stressing that at all. I went in there and he told me his plan, and I trusted. I felt like he got a really good plan for us set up this season. He building something special coming up Maryland this year. I feel like we're going to be very successful running the ball and passing the ball. We're just an overall offense this year, so I'm not really stressing that. I feel like God put me where he wanted me to be, and he never led me wrong, so I'm going to trust this out.
You are not the only Old Dominion Monarch that's headed to Maryland, obviously. Tell me about your relationship with Naeem, and was that something that factored in for both of you guys at all in making the decision, or did it just kind of happen to work out that way?
Yes, sir. We talked a little bit. I really didn't know that he was talking to Maryland until I got on my visit, and they told me that he was coming up on the Sunday. And I texted him. I was like, I heard you coming up here. He was like, yeah, man. He was already messing with it. He was already leaning this way. But, yeah, we really convinced each other to we really both convinced each other to decide on Maryland. But, yeah, man, that was crazy. I really didn't even know that until, like, the day I got there.
That's pretty cool that it gets to work out that way, though, right?
Yes, sir.
That was crazy. That's really awesome. I wonder, like, that confidence that you just said and what Maryland's going to be able to do. A lot of people would point out, right? Like, this is a team that ended the season on an 8-game losing streak this past year. Where does that confidence come from for you that this Maryland team is going to be getting this turned around and headed in the right direction?
Like I said, I get all my confidence from the Lord. So, like I said, I feel like he didn't put me at Maryland for no reason. And I've been through too much just to go to Maryland and just stop there. So I feel like we're going to have something big coming this season. And like I said, Coach sat me down and we talked for almost an hour about what we're going to do this season. I'm really confident. He was really confident about what he was saying. So I feel like it's going to be pretty big.
Did you know anything about Maryland quarterback Malik Washington, who obviously was one of the highest regarded, freshman quarterbacks in the country? Did you know anything about him at all as you were going through this process?
No, sir, I did not.
So, wow. All right. Now you're going to have a chance to get to know him moving forward. What about, this is, as we're chatting with Trequan Jones, who's headed to play at Maryland. Q, I wonder just how would you describe yourself and what it is that you're bringing to the table for a Maryland fan that's trying to get to know you?
I'll say myself, I'm just a humble, hardworking man. I'm just going to stay level-headed and just show up and work every day and give him all every day, no matter the circumstance. And just try to uplift others, give words of encouragement, and just be myself. Just be me, nothing else.
What about as a football player? What type of back are you?
Oh, what type of running back?
Oh, no, I wanted both of those. I love that you told me about you. I love that part, but also.
I feel like I'm an explosive running back, but I don't really know him for my speed. So, but I feel like I could do it all. People always just say like I'm a speed back, but I feel like I could do it all, like in every aspect of the game. But I'm still working on it mentally and physically. But I feel like I'm an all-purpose running back, all-down running back.
You mentioned that. Like I know that you didn't catch a ton of passes. Was that just the nature of the offense, the way they used you? Do you feel like that's still something that you could do more of as you arrive at Maryland?
Oh yes, sir, for sure. Yes, sir. Coach Locke told me that he gonna get me more in the pass game and try to get me more to open space.
I mean, that sounds encouraging, right? Like that sounds like something that you're pretty excited about. Obviously, you guys played some big games at Old Dominion, but how ready are you for? We keep referencing this is the Big Ten, right? Like, there's going to be another Big Ten team playing in the national championship game this year. Like, this is the pinnacle of college football. How ready are you for that competition week in and week out now moving forward?
I'm more ready than ever. I ain't gonna lie. I've been praying for this opportunity my whole life. So, I'm just ready to get there and work. Like, I think about it every day. It's not a day that I don't think about it. Just being in that moment.
Man, what is it like? What is it about you that makes you that type of competitor? Where does that come from?
Just growing up, my mom, she just working every day, just providing for me and my family, and just trying not to be like everybody else that I grew up around. My growing up, I didn't have really the best situation, so just feeding off that since a kid, just waking up every day, just wanted to be better, just make a difference in my life.
I love that, man. Have you thought at all about, like we're gonna see obviously Indiana play Oregon tonight. Have you guys like thought at all about like there was an argument that maybe you guys had the best chance of beating Indiana of like anybody in the country? Is that like?
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, how did you guys manage to keep them in check and stay so competitive with them? And maybe how much are you itching for another shot at them now that you're in the same league?
To be real, I feel like they tried to downplay us a little bit. They didn't expect us to come out there and play that hard, but everybody, really, the whole country didn't expect Old Dominion to have all those pieces like that and have a team like that. So
yeah,
we went out there and surprised them for sure.
No doubt, man. Right? Like I keep thinking about that. Like they played. There are a couple other teams that played them close, obviously, like Ohio State. But man, you guys were right there. Like you had a chance, man, which is really crazy when you think about it. How that season played out. Q, where can we tell Maryland fans to be giving you a follow, social media wise, as you start heading towards College Park?
They could follow my Instagram at Q2official. It's QUE, the number 2, OFFICIALL.
And that's the same thing on Twitter, correct?
Yes, sir.
Excellent, man. And so just so everybody knows, it's Q, and that's QUEQ, right? Like that's what you're going with.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Q, so happy for you, man, and so cool that this works out with you and Naeem coming together. Like that's going to be a really cool opportunity. Can't wait to see what it is that you're going to bring to this football program moving forward. Really appreciate you taking the time for us this morning, man. Thanks so much for doing it.
Yes, sir. Of course. Thank you for reaching out.